Food prices are rising in almost every country, and ordinary people feel it the moment they walk into a supermarket. Families are shocked when a small basket of groceries costs more than what a full cart used to cost. Restaurant owners struggle to keep their menus affordable. Even farmers, the people who grow the food, say their own food bills are increasing faster than their income. This raises a painful question. If food is a basic need, why is it turning into a luxury for millions of people? This video breaks down the global food price crisis in simple steps, showing why everything is becoming more expensive, how different forces combine like a perfect storm, and when the world might finally see relief. The global food price shock. Over the last few years, food inflation has hit countries from the United States to India, Brazil, South Africa, and Europe. Many nations saw double-digit increases between 2021 and 2024. This is not a small local problem, it is a global shock. To understand how big the change is, experts use something called the FAO Food Price Index. It is like a global thermometer that measures how expensive food commodities are compared to a base year. When the index goes above 100, it means prices are higher than normal. In recent years, the index stayed well above 120, and at one point even crossed 140. This means the world was paying much more for basic ingredients like wheat, corn, rice, cooking oil, and dairy. When the global price of food goes up, local shops cannot escape it. They must charge more for bread, vegetables, sugar, milk, and meat. The result is what people feel today. Everything costs more, but earnings remain almost the same. Energy, fertilizer, and input cost food does not magically appear in stores. It relies on fuel, machines, and chemicals that make farming possible. When these inputs become expensive, the final product becomes expensive too. Modern agriculture needs a lot of energy. Tractors run on diesel. Cold storage rooms use electricity. Trucks and ships that carry food across countries depend on fuel. So when oil and gas prices rise, farmers pay more, transport companies pay more, and eventually consumers pay more. Fertilizers are another hidden cost. Many fertilizers come from natural gas. When gas prices surged after the pandemic and during geopolitical tensions, fertilizer costs almost doubled in some regions. Farmers in Africa and Asia said they had to reduce fertilizer use because they could not afford it. Lower fertilizer use means smaller harvests, and smaller harvests mean higher prices later. This chain reaction is simple but powerful. Higher costs at the start of the farming process slowly move through the system until they hit the shopper's wallet. Wars and geopolitics, from Ukraine to global trade. Another major reason behind rising food prices is conflict. The war in Ukraine disrupted global supply because both Russia and Ukraine are leading exporters of wheat, maize, sunflower oil, and fertilizers. When ports shut down or trade routes become unsafe, countries panic and rush to buy food from elsewhere. This sudden rush pushes prices even higher. Even when food is still available somewhere in the world, uncertainty alone can make the market unstable. Traders raise prices because they fear future shortages. Shipping companies raise fees because routes become risky. Countries start competing with each other to secure supplies. The conflict also affected fertilizers. Russia is one of the world's biggest fertilizer exporters. When fertilizer shipments were blocked or delayed, farmers worldwide suffered. This is why the price of bread, cooking oil, animal feed, and processed snacks went up in countries that have nothing to do with the war itself. In a globalized world, one country's crisis becomes everyone's crisis. Climate change and extreme weather. Climate change plays one of the biggest roles in food price spikes. Farmers everywhere say the weather has become less predictable. Seasons are shifting, rains come too early or too late, and heat waves destroy crops that usually grow well. Drought is one of the worst problems. When rivers dry up, irrigation becomes harder. When soil loses moisture, plants grow smaller or die. Countries like Brazil and Ethiopia saw huge jumps in coffee prices because drought wiped out parts of their harvest. India saw potato shortages after unexpected heat waves damaged fields. South Korea faced sudden increases in cabbage prices because heavy rains and heat ruined crops. Floods are equally destructive. Entire rice fields in Japan and Southeast Asia were washed away after strong storms. When supply drops suddenly, prices rise overnight. Climate change makes food production unstable, and unstable production leads to unstable prices. Scientists predict this volatility will continue for years unless global emissions fall and farming becomes more resilient. Before we continue, share something in the comments. In your country, which food item has become shockingly expensive recently? Eggs, rice, milk, vegetables, or something else? Your answer helps us understand how this crisis looks around the world. Supply chains, pandemic shocks, and labor problems. During the pandemic, global supply chains faced massive disruptions. Lockdowns slowed down factories. Ports were backed up with ships waiting to unload. Containers were stuck in the wrong countries. Shipping costs rose to levels never seen before. Food, like everything else, became harder and more expensive to move. Even after the pandemic eased, these problems did not disappear quickly. Many countries were short of truck drivers. Meat processing plants and farm workers faced health risks or left their jobs. Labor shortages made it difficult to keep supply flowing smoothly. When one step in the chain slows down, everything slows down. If transport is delayed, fresh vegetables spoil. If workers are missing, fewer goods are produced. All this adds extra costs, and eventually consumers pay the price. Corporate power, supermarket chains, and greedflation. In many countries, a few large companies control most of the food system. They handle processing, packaging, distribution, and retail. When a handful of companies dominate, they have more power to decide prices. A debate has grown worldwide about greedflation, the idea that some companies kept prices high even after their own costs fell. Critics say certain supermarkets and food manufacturers increased profit margins during the crisis. They argue that companies use global events as a justification to charge more, even when the situation started improving. Economists do not all agree, but some studies show that corporate profits rose in several sectors during the inflation period. While not the only cause, corporate behavior plays a role in keeping grocery prices higher than expected. Why low-income countries suffer the most food inflation hits everyone, but it does not hit everyone equally. Low-income countries face the hardest pressure because people spend a bigger part of their earnings on food. In some African and Asian countries, families use half of their income just to buy basic meals. When food prices rise even slightly, millions fall into hunger. These countries also depend more on imported food. If global wheat or rice prices rise, they cannot avoid the impact. A United Nations report warned that the combination of war, climate shocks, COVID recovery, and loose economic policies made low-income countries extremely vulnerable. Farmers in these regions lack access to modern technology, irrigation, and storage. When crops fail, they lose both income and food at the same time. The crisis becomes a cycle that traps families in hardship. What governments are doing and what actually works. Governments around the world have tried many strategies to control food prices. Some offer subsidies to make certain foods cheaper. Some set price caps to stop companies from raising prices too fast. Others reduce import taxes to make foreign food cheaper. A few countries use export bans when they fear shortages. This means they stop selling food to other nations so that domestic supply stays stable. However, export bans can backfire. They may cause shortages somewhere else or raise global prices even more. Social safety nets like cash transfers, food stamps, or school meal programs help families survive tough months. Monetary tightening, like raising interest rates, can slow overall inflation but takes time to show results. Experts say that long-term solutions require improving agriculture itself. Better irrigation, climate-resilient crops, modern storage systems, local food processing, and smarter trade policies can help stabilize prices in the future. Will food prices ever come down? This is the question everyone wants answered. The truth is mixed. Some global food commodity prices have fallen from their peaks. Wheat, corn, and oilseed prices are lower than they were during the height of the crisis. But supermarket prices remain high for several reasons. Retailers buy food using long-term contracts. Many of these contracts were signed when prices were high. Companies also face higher labor, energy, and transport costs that remain even if commodity prices fall. Some supermarkets are slow to reverse price increases because margins give them financial comfort. Climate change and geopolitics continue to create uncertainty. A drought, heat wave, or conflict can suddenly push prices up again. Experts say food prices might stabilize, but they may never return to the levels people remember from 10 years ago. The world needs stronger farming systems, diversified supply chains, and better climate preparation to keep food affordable in the long run. Food prices affect every person, every day. If this video helped you understand the crisis better, like, share, and subscribe for more simple and clear explanations of global issues. In the comments, tell us how rising food prices have changed your daily life or diet. Your story matters, and it helps others see that they are not alone.